Today I am here again in the mountains to test something really awkward. Sigma 18-35 f1.8 art lens. Most of you probably know this lens. It's crop lens on my crop body EOS M50 Canon, but I'm using a speed booster. Probably you wonder, this is a crop lens, why you use it on speed booster? And yes, you are right, but here are some results that can surprise you. You can use the lens on a speed booster without much crop. If you know, this body can shoot 4K, but with 1.7 times crop, and there is no problem in 4K except two little problems. The 4K doesn't have dual pixel autofocus, so you have to focus manually. Also, the 4K has a terrible rolling shutter. If you're making some static shoots and there are no fast moving objects, it's okay. But if you're shooting something like sports, like cars and fast objects, this is not the setup for you. If you're shooting full HD without crop, you can shoot almost without any vignetting. The only thing you have to do is to switch on the electronic stabilization.
My plan was to reach as high as it's possible in this mountain area, but I didn't expect some unforeseen circumstances. I've been prepared for cold weather and some clouds, but not for high-speed wind causing snowstorms. If it was just for the hike, I would follow my planned path, but for testing not weather-sealed lens and camera, it was worthless.
I hope you can hear me, and let me explain what was my plan to test Sigma 18-35 via speed booster. I've planned to go right there where is a very high and sharp peak, but now it's covered in clouds. And from the sharp peak right there, to go down to the ridge that now is also covered in clouds, to the peak up there, and down to this ridge to finish my journey. But as you can see, obviously I can do it right now or it's absolutely pointless. So I'll go down there in the forest and try to finish my review.
So I'm at the safe zone again. In fact, my first shots was prior to the intro and also one day prior to the review day. As everybody knows, the Sigma 18-35 f1.8 is awesome lens. It's so sharp and color neutral. It's designed for crop sensors, but its limit is like 1.2 or 1.3 crop factor. It's perfect on my Blackmagic Pocket 6K. A lot of people used it even on a Red Gemini sensor that is actually bigger than the most of the Super 35s. For my setup with the Viltrox speed booster, it's really usable. The 4K mode on the M50 have 1.7 crop factor, and the overall calculation gives me 1.9 crop factor, which means that at 18mm it will be like 35mm on a full frame. But if I want to shoot at Full HD, I would have to turn the electronic stabilization to enabled or enhanced. If I leave it on enabled, I have just a little vignetting creeping from the corners, and when zooming up to 35mm, it's completely gone. So I've set the electronic stabilization to enhanced, that puts a little more crop. And here is the time to mention that the electronic stabilization is fine to remove the micro jitters when shooting handheld, but if you make more complex and fast movements, it will absolutely ruin your shots with bad warpings. As I've mentioned in the intro, when shooting in 4K, actually it's UHD, shooting fast-moving objects is far from ideal. The rolling shutter in this camera in that mode is terrible. Your only option is to use it for slow or normal speed moving objects. Also, the maximum frame rate is 24 or 25 frames per second. Just forget about slow motion. When shooting in 1080p, the rolling shutter effect is definitely a lot less. But there's another big problem. The picture quality is very soft and it makes the use of a sharp lens pointless. And even the fact that you can shoot in 60 frames per second for slow motion in post can justify the soft image. Most of the shots I took at aperture between f2.8 and f4, that are actually between f3.5 and 5.6, but the speed booster nature gives these readings. I've used f1.2, actual f1.8, just for some very close-ups. And these close-ups are actually a macro shots, something I didn't expect it. The minimum focus distance was less than 10 centimeters. Overall, it's weird setup and can be used only on purpose. It's not universal and have several limitations. I would prefer to stick on the standard kit lens or use full frame lens with optical stabilization instead of the electronic one on the body. I'd like to see your thoughts or share your experience in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and if you like the content I've shared here, press the like button. Consider subscribing to my channel for more, and see you next time. Bye.